Hey guys, what's up? We are going to talk about the Bassmaster Opens and that they finally released the schedule. Now, we're going to get into this. We're going to talk a little bit about what I think about the schedule, what I think about if I can fish them. There's some conflicts and kind of go over like how I view all this stuff and how I get into it. Like how I figure out if I can fish these things with everything else I got going on and the couple of the limitations that are going to come along with this. Still some questions I have to get answered somehow. I also want to say this. This feels a little weird. Okay, I got to be real honest with y'all. I always try to be real honest with y'all, and it's impossible for me to make this video without commenting and saying this. It feels very, very strange today and weird today to make this video, and I'll explain why. It feels a little disingenuous, like I'm not acknowledging some things. So yesterday, the Charlie Kirk incident happened. And look, I've never been very political at all on this channel and don't plan on being it. It's a fishing channel. I get it. What I'll say is this. Despite all that, the one thing I have always been and have no problem ever talking about is my Christian belief. And me and Charlie had that in common. He was a follower of Christ. And after my last two videos were with my son. Just goofing around, driving around. I was showing him like how I grew up and things like that. And just getting, I spend a lot of time with my kids. A whole bunch of time. We were out playing basketball yesterday for an hour and a half. I was at my daughter's cross country meet yesterday. And he's got two kids, and it did hit home with me on that part. Selfishly, I like being there for my kids. I like that's enjoyment for me. I'm glad that I get to be around them. I'm glad that they get to be around me. And it's crazy to think that was all taken away by someone who just didn't believe in someone's thoughts. That's all they were. They didn't believe with his opinion. I'm a guy who gets on here and I make fishing videos, and sometimes I talk about things within the fishing industry and give my own opinion. I like debating. I wouldn't call it arguing, but I like, here's my opinion, here's my thoughts on why. And that was just insane. I thought I had to speak on that before I make this video, because I could not make this video without just glossing over that and not even saying something to that, because that was just that would hit me because of that. Like I said, my last couple of videos were with my son, and just thinking about his kids, and they're just all taken away over someone's opinions. And not saying I do the same, but I get my opinion on here, and people disagree, and people get nasty, and people take shots at you, and people attack you personally. And I like crazy. I even had like a high schooler attack me personally a couple days ago. He didn't agree with me on some fishing stuff. And so, it's just crazy. So I just thought I had to mention that before I move on with this video about today, because we're one day after. So with that said, I can now move on. The Bassmaster Opens. A buddy did call me yesterday, or he called me and was like, hey, and his first words, he's like, well, are you going to fish them? And I was like, fish what? He's like, the Opens. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, the schedule came out. I'm like, oh. And before I could even ask anything, he's like, all right, listen, Rayburn, we're going to Rayburn. And I was like, all right. And he was like, no, that's not even the best one. We're going to Grand Lake in April. And I'm like, all right, well, hold on. And then he was like Pickwick and Upper Mississippi. And I was like, and you got to realize I'm going to my daughter's cross country meet, and I'm walking up there and I'm like trying to think about all the dates. I'm like, he's telling me the dates. And I'm like, you do realize, and I just want to show y'all, like, this is my schedule of 2026. Starts in January 31st. And then it's February 12th, 21st, 22nd, 28th, 7th, 14th, 21, March 21, 26. Like that's to March all the way through November. I got a couple question marks in there of championships and things like that. But like, I hadn't looked at it, but it's a full schedule already. And so I was like, great. I made that video a couple of weeks ago about scheduling and how I look at it all, and then how I start putting all these schedules together. And I always worry about the conflicts. It's weird when around here, I think they do this on purpose. I know a couple of them do, but man, they all seem to fall in line to where you can fish all this stuff. And the opens are always, I swear, like the Toyotas every once in a while get in the way, but I swear the opens are always like right in the way of stuff. And so I was like, great, well, okay, what's the first one at? And he was like, well, this is the one that was going to be hard. It was like Rayburn, February 19th through the 21st. So I'm like, well, I've got a Toyota. Yeah, I got a Toyota February 12th through the 14th. And I'm like, oh, that's good. Wait a minute. Off limits. Crap. We got an off limits. So I was like, that one. Now, I will say this. I went and looked at the rules because, you never know. And I even had to go look exactly what the off limits were because I just don't pay attention. I know they're around 30 days, but I wanted to make sure. So it's 30 days. Now, that was for 2025. I don't know what the 2026 rules are. It doesn't have them out yet. I assume they're going to be the same. I doubt they're going to change. So I was like, okay, well, if I do that, that means I'm going to have to fish a different set of Toyota, or I can fish 2 out of the 3 Toyotas and then go fish 2 other ones, which I kind of already do sometimes, or at least fish another one. Like I'm going to Lake of the Ozarks. And I'm like, okay, I can do that and maybe make the wild card. And I'm like, God dang, all right. That sucks that I only have like 2 tournaments, maybe 3 all year long on Rayburn. And I would possibly have another one, except the off limits would hurt me. So I'm going, okay. I called up Russell, my buddy, and I was asking him, my fishing partner. I'm like, hey, we're gonna hang out this weekend and go hunting. But I was like, we got to get our schedules down and see which ones we can make or miss. I might fish these opens. Then the second one, Grand Lake. That time of the year I can't wait for. Like I'm more excited about that one than the Rayburn one. Then I look at the Toyotas and I'm like, March 26th through the 28th. And I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm like, no way. No way. Like that's going to be within 28 days. So I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe there's a day in there. It might be. But then I wouldn't get to practice. Right? So, or wait a minute. Toyota? No, I don't know. But I don't know. That's 2. The first 2. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I hadn't even looked. I mean, once I got to that one, I'm like, May 20th? Do I have something May 20th? No, I don't have anything May 20th through the 22nd and June 18th. June 18th, I'd be good. So I'd have to miss 2 of the Toyotas at a cross point of where do I really want to fish the opens and what am I going to get out of them? And then I fish the Toyotas every year. I wouldn't mind trying to get my 6th angler of the year. I make money in the Toyotas, and then I get to go to the championship. And the championship's back at Pickwick, and I have a bone to pick with Pickwick. I made some money in the championship. There's a lot of money to be made. And I'm just sitting here going, man, I will say that that's the best schedule I've ever seen the Opens put out. I've been to 3 of those 4. I've never been to the Upper Mississippi. I'd get to frogfish. I watched them on the Elites this year. And I was like, I might suck. I might do horrible at that event, but that is my kind of fishing. And so I just look at all this going, great. What am I going to do? I haven't made a decision yet. I'm going to have to see. I want to look at the rules and stuff. This is when I always talk to y'all, though, about this. And look, there's the other schedule, too. It's Kissimmee, Eufaula, Lake Eufaula in Alabama, Lake Norman, North Carolina, Lake Erie, New York. Just right off the bat, if I fish that schedule, which I don't even know if that schedule allows me to. I'm looking at it right now. The 2 out of the 4, no problems. And I don't know about the other 2, but nothing would conflict like that. And I could still fish the Toyotas. Problem is I'd have to go to Florida. That's a 20-something hour long trip. In New York's 20-something hours. North Carolina's probably, Lake Eufaula is the only one that's like 8 or 9. I don't depend and look at this as going, I have to go qualify for the elites. I could turn the elites down. I could care less. So it's really about kind of making some money. And if I do happen to qualify or want to try to qualify, or if I ever, that's not even a question. Like, I didn't even talk to my wife about that. I wouldn't even think about that. And that's not even to qualify. That's just to make it to the EQs, which is top 50, which I don't think I've ever fished anything like that and not made a top 20 or 30 ever. But either way, then I'd still have to go to the EQs and qualify. But I'm not really worried about trying to qualify for the elites. Like, nothing excites me about looking at the elites right now. Unless something, I mean, I don't know. There's just a lot to that. I'm gonna try to stay on track. So this is where I always talk about like ego. And it's not even ego, it's just like there's a part of me that wants to go get in those opens and like do work. And there's a part of me that's going, it's not meshing, it's not fitting together. Like, there's a lot of problems with that schedule and my schedule already. And then what makes sense, and then like how much money I'm gonna spend to how much money I'm gonna make, things like that. And I've always gone by, this is gonna be really easy for me, is just like, I've learned over the years in fishing not to like complicate things and not to make things more difficult and not to like push the envelope. For me, because like I said, I just look at it as like common sense, reasonable stuff. If I had all the time in the world, if I didn't have a wife and kids and other stuff and like money to just blow through, I'd probably just go fish the opens because I wouldn't care. But I have a fishing partner. We crush it. We have a whole bunch of fun. The Toyotas fit my schedule, all these different things. And I'm not really worried about trying to qualify for the elites or not. Like, that's not like this goal of mine. Like, I didn't set out it's whatever. Man, I just look at this and go, I always talk about like, following him and like opening doors and closing doors. He kind of looks like he closed some doors on some of this stuff. And I'm not going to force the issue sometimes. I haven't made a decision yet, but that's the way I look at some of these schedule stuff and how I prepare for it. Great schedule by the Bassmaster, though. The forward-facing Sonar deal, not really. I wasn't worried about whether they did. I knew they were going to do this. It made sense when they made the rule on the elites. They have 4 in each division. This was like a no-brainer. I wasn't even like concerned that I knew they were going to do that. The way they did it, I know there's no coin flip or anything like that, but I don't think they have to do that with the opens. It's not that big of a deal. The Upper Mississippi, that's pretty much a given. They didn't need to put it on that one. And then Grand Lake in April, they're going to be so shallow it won't matter. And then the other two make sense to put it on there. I mean, it was kind of a schedule almost already that looked like that. I haven't looked at, let me see, where is that? Lake Eufaula. Oh, that's interesting. Will be permitted at these events. So Norman and Kissimmee. It looked like they like definitely picked the ones that you would use forward-facing sonar on more, which was whatever. This is why they didn't want to do that in the elites, because it's obviously that they picked them that way for a reason. That's why I didn't mind the coin flip, because it was like if no matter what they did, if they had just picked them like that, everyone would have been like, it would have pissed everyone off. I'm just telling you. Or not everyone. It would have just been like, what are we doing here, guys? I'll be honest with you, most of the time that's what they would normally have done. And you'd be like, it's like, oh, we're going to the Sabine, but we're not going to use forward-facing sonar. Everyone would be like, hey, thanks. Appreciate that. That was a good call there. I'm really interested to see how the EQs are going to play out this year. Like, I haven't seen how this is going to play out. So maybe I see how the EQs play out and it changes my mind or something. In all honesty, as of right now, it's going to take something to change my mind not to fish them. But we'll see. Maybe some rules come out, maybe some off-limits things. If no off-limits comes out, I'm there. And I was always for a guy that was for these off-limits, but I was for the off-limits for other reasons. I kind of wish Rayburn and Grand weren't on there. I'd probably fish them. That's what sucks. That's why I'm not worried about the other two. It's just the off limits part. And I'm a guy who was in favor of the off limits, but I was in favor of off limits for other reasons, right? I was in favor of it so guys weren't spending a month there. If you want to make it more like the elites, do it. And then there was a whole cheating aspect of it going on. People doing stuff. I mean, there was a tournament or two a couple years ago where, call it cheating, call it breaking the rules, call it doing stuff illegal before the event to give you an advantage that now they can't do. That's why I was always in favor of this, of the off limits. It sucks that an off limits rule to keep people from like cheating and keep people from just sitting on a lake is going to come back and get me on these two, which, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go there 2-3 weeks. I don't do that stuff. I've got too many tournaments. I'd only be getting, and I don't even know how many days they give you anymore. A lot of these tournaments that they have, and the way my schedule is I'd have to be leaving on that weekend anyways, because I'd fish a tournament with Russell Saturday or Sunday and then drive there. So I don't know if they still get 4 or 5 days or 3 days, but I guarantee most of those I'd only get 3 days anyways, which is fine by me. So, yeah, that's the open schedule. What do y'all think?